Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattle Tarot. It's Georgie. And today I'm going to be asking the light seers for some guidance. Today's reading regards a wonderful singer, Mama Cass. And I want to look at one specific area of her life. And it's regarding her last concerts that she did in London at the London Palladium in 1974. And then her death. And I just want to do a Celtic Cross reading, just covering that very specific time. So she left the Mamas and the Papas, and this was her solo performance or performances at the London Palladium. And I just want to see what the cards can tell me regarding her death, regarding the events leading up to her death, how specific the cards will be. What actually caused it, and what was her frame of mind. Let's just see what the cards say. I'm going to throw the Celtic Cross, and then we'll analyze each position, and we'll see what the cards would like to tell us, what they feel that we need to know. Okay. So this is regarding Mama Cass in 1974 and all the events around her death, and that final set of performances at the concert in London. Okay, let's just have a look. So I will go through all these positions when everything is laid out. Okay. All right. So Mama Cass, let's find out what the cards would tell us about this lady in these final days of her life. Okay. The central energy here. We have the King of Swords. That's a truth card. She did a lot of interviews around this time, and I think that she was telling the truth. She was happy in her life. I think she found some degree of peace. In none of those interviews did she appear to be putting on a front or anything like that. She seemed a woman that was, comfortable in herself. She had her daughter, and I think the King of Swords is very much a truth card. She did quite a few interviews regarding the London Palladium, and she seemed to come across as confident. She seemed to be owning her own talents. I think she was quite an insecure woman about a lot of things in her life, but I think she'd matured. And King of Swords, yeah, it's a truthful card. I don't think any of those interviews that she did were bravado, putting anything on. So let's have a look. What's crossing it? The Nine of Cups. This is a card. She's come to terms with things, but the Nine of Cups crossing it, especially in reverse here. The Nine of Cups. It is an indulgence card, and it's a party card. It's a feel-good card, but there is that indulgence at the bottom of it. A little bit too much of everything. Quite a greedy card. Give me more kind of energy. Now we've got it in reverse. She had her troubles. Although she was being honest in her interviews, and she was very much sort of calm and honest in, how she was coming across, talking about her daughter and talking about, having, just sort of love for her daughter, love for what she did, and coming across very genuine here. There was still this excess, an excess lifestyle, too much drugs, too much drink, too much food, whatever you want to say, or if she was dieting, too much dieting. You know, she'd lost a lot of weight for this event in London, for this set of concerts. But this is an indulgence, an excess card, and in reverse, too much, way too much of everything. And in the crown of everything, you've got the devil. I think she knew what the music industry was. She was very much, she wasn't blind to what it was. It was the devil. It was probably the root cause of her insecurities, the root cause of her excesses. And so the focus is, you know, the music industry and basically its effect on her. So I think she was very much aware of the very bad side of the industry she was in and the kind of lifestyle that it had led her to. So the devil in the focus of everything, all the excesses. And the bottom is lovers in reverse. I think lovers, I am going to take this as sometimes I don't take this as lovers. I take it as like business and unions between, you know, people in business, working together, you know, that sort of choice of, do I work with this person? Do I work with that? I'm taking this lovers in reverse from the feeling that I'm getting here of lovers in reverse. I think this has always been the foundation with her, loving people who didn't love her back, maybe that sort of, you know, this way up, you've got that simpatico, you've got that connection, whether it's through love or business or whatever, you've got that connection. And I think that this plagued her throughout her life. And this was the root of things, not feeling worthy of love. And the people that she chose to love were unsuitable in many ways, and choosing people who chose not to love her back in the same way. So that's at the bottom of the situation here. And I think in the recent past, we've got the sun in reverse. So the sun the right way up, you could say, oh, the recent past had been really good, you know, everything had shone down on her. She was growing her career. She was confident. Look at this figure, just bursting with energy, bursting with confidence. I don't see that. She'd left the mamas and papas, and I think that she was very much insecure now. I think there was a lot of this devilish energy around her, you know, trying to cope with her insecurities. So, you know, I see the sun in reverse as very similar to the devil, you know, but this is the past. This is the recent past. So I think she'd been coping with what was going on in the past by doing things that were harmful to herself in the past. And how did she see the future? She didn't know. She didn't know. She was making the best of things, and you know, she wasn't lying in her interviews. You know, she had her daughter. She was doing this concert or these set of concerts that were her now, her showcasing what she could do. But I think Eight of Swords, this was all in her mind. She was very much bound in her own mind by what she felt of herself. I think she never felt she was good enough. And this was carrying through to the future, you know, that sort of not seeing, this is what I can see, not seeing how talented you are, not really, you know, embracing your talents. And I think this was the near future. You know, we can't say future because there was no future. She died. But I think it was better than in the past because, you know, she was using drugs and food and all kinds of things from the devil, you know, this sort of to coping mechanism, and she'd left the mums and papas. But going forward, yes, she you know, she was coming away from this, but she was still a very insecure person. This is not a secure in your image, a secure in your mind or your actions. This is still a very bothered person. And so we've got the magician in reverse. I think that this is her thoughts and feelings. she wanted to come across as different to the way she was. The magician up the right way, that's very much look at this hand while that hand does something else. Just watch me create this out of nothing. Watch me create something out of nothing. And everyone goes, wow, that's amazing that you did that, and it's up the right way and you've manifested things. We're in reverse. I think that she felt that it was getting harder and harder for her to create things, maybe create music. It was getting harder to perform. It was getting harder to showcase what she could do. And I think these concerts really took it out of her. I think she found it very hard, both physically and mentally, to keep that magic going. Let's put it like that. This wonderful voice, this wonderful talent, and her health wasn't great. And I think it was hard for her to keep that illusion of, this very sparkly person. I don't think she felt like that particularly. What did people see? Well, people saw Ace of Pentacles. They saw amazing, get a chance to see Mama Cass, and she's growing her career. She's this pentacle is growing and blooming and creating new stuff. People didn't see the pain underneath it. They didn't see all of this central thing. They saw something wonderful when they watched her on stage, and they didn't see the heartache underneath it. So, very much an illusion here in the eye here of the pentacle, what they saw. They saw what they choose to see, and they saw this big, glamorous woman, really, not glamorous, but, confident woman, ultra confident. That's what they saw, but that wasn't really the case. She wasn't that. But she put on a very good show. And what did the universe say? Well, the universe said, time is coming here. You can't carry on living the way that you're living. Her wheel had turned into reverse. So, up this way, yes, this is right. The Wheel of Fortune, you're up the right way. You're on top of your wheel. Everything in your world's going well. Everything's going really well. Her wheel had reversed. Demons, different situations. I think that, she was now underneath the wheel, and the universe was saying to her, your time is running out now. Your wheel is not going to right itself because of the way that you're living and you've lived in the past. Your wheel is crushing you, basically. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles, and this is just like a slow moving energy. It's up the right way. It's walking away. It's leaving. She did leave, and it was slow. She went to bed, went to sleep. There is nothing sudden. It's not like a shark attack or anything like, a sudden heart attack or anything like that. It's not that. It's drifting away. All the money that she'd made in the past, any burden on her, it was just drifting away. And that's the way I see this Knight of Pentacles. Slow moving energy, slowly going on to somewhere else. So let's just recap. She was being truthful in her interviews, those interviews that she gave, the final ones. I think that her daughter, I think she spoke about her daughter. Her daughter was so important to her. And, she was making it on her own. This was her way of showcasing what she could do. And that was the truth of it, But crossing that was the excess of everything, drink and drugs and food and all that excess. And I don't think she could ever shake that through her life. It was always there. And she knew that was compounded by what the music industry was. It was the devil. It that energy of excess. Everybody, I mean, they called heroin the creative person's drug, the musician's drug. And back then it wasn't known what it was like, what it would do to you. But of course, it was the devil, and it was one of those things that she had in her life that was ever present. And back then it was accepted, you know, you were creative, you took heroin, you took LSD, you took all these things to help you be creative. And at the bottom of it, just the relationships that she chose at that time, or not just that time, throughout her life, always sort of leaning towards people who did not appreciate her as much. So she would desperately love someone and they would reject her. So there was always this sort of unrequited love that she had to some degree. And so this had always been like at the root of things, never feeling quite good enough. And in the sort of recent past, I think her drug use had been very bad. And it really had sort of thrown a shadow on everything. And she left the mamas and the papas, and you know, everything had gone very, very dark for her. But then she had this chance to perform at the London Palladium, but her confidence was not as good as it could have been. She still didn't see and still didn't feel how creative she was, how talented she was. She always felt like she was judged on maybe her looks rather than her talent, and that made her insecure in this Ace of Swords. You know, she made this prison of her own mind. Her insecurity, her dependency, it was in her mind. She never freed herself mentally. And then from the outside, and it was a burden because she felt like this, but she had to portray, which people did see, the Ace of Pentacles. She felt like, God, this is so hard. And I'm starting to feel quite emotional on this one. This is so hard, keeping up this pretense of being this magical figure on stage, this one that people are going, wow, you know, wonderful voice, wonderful presence. Look at that big, confident woman. And I don't think that she was like that. And it was very hard on her as the magician here in reverse to do this, to put on this sort of this manifesting, this creative thing, when she really didn't actually feel that. But people fell for it and they thought, you know, how wonderful, she's so creative, she's so talented. And she was, and people saw it, but she never believed it, or she didn't believe it at that time in her life. And the universe said to her, look, you can't carry on with the lifestyle that you have, because your wheel of fortune is now in reverse. Your time is limited now. And the universe was saying, there's no time to write this. You've done so much damage to yourself. We can't, you know, you can't turn this around and get you back on top of the world. It's time. It's time. And she went to bed and she fell asleep. And she moved on, and it was slow, and it was not painful. It was just moving on, walking away, just walking, moving away. It wasn't distressful. She wasn't in pain. So I want to know now, it was said that Mama Cass choked. I don't see that here. I don't see that frantic, you know, to choke. She was supposed to have eaten something and choked. I think this is not true. That didn't happen. But I want to know what the cards say. So I'm going to just move that Celtic cross just along that way a tiny bit. And I'm just going to come here and just ask about choking. Did Mama Cass choke? I mean, that was in the press, and she was a big woman, and I just think it was a sensational thing to say that, and quite a cruel thing. But let me see, the cards might say, no, that actually happened. She choked, but there's none of that energy here. Did Mama Cass choke? Judgment in reverse. No, I mean, judgment, that you know, that's a truth card, you know, that this is what happened. This, you know, yes, this poor woman, you know, that was what was meant to take her. That was what was meant to take her away. You know, she suffocated on food, and that took her beyond. That was what happened. You know, she'd eaten this thing, and yes, it took her. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That's judgment in reverse. That's not a fair thing to say. It was a cruel thing to say. It was judging her for her weight. It was judging her, a big person. Oh, she just choked, greedy. She choked. And it was an unfair, cruel thing to say. So she was at this stage taking heroin, and she was taking all kinds of drugs to basically mask how she felt. So was it drugs? Was it drugs? Was it accidental? Let's put it like this. I'll tell you what we'll ask first of all. Let's just clear. Take a deep breath. Okay. Let's ask, was it deliberate? Did she do this deliberately? So was it an overdose deliberately? Was it a deliberate overdose? Was it deliberate? Was it a deliberate overdose? Did she do it deliberately? See what the cards will say. Was it deliberate? 9 of Wands. No. I think that she felt too protective of her daughter. She had a little girl, and I think, with this 9 of Wands, that's very much you defend something to your last breath. So there is no way this woman, this Mama Cass, there is no way that she was going to go and leave her daughter. You see this proud figure here with the final wand. You protect that with your last breath. So no, it certainly wasn't deliberate. It certainly wasn't deliberate. So there were drugs, a lot of drugs, a lot of heroin, all different kinds of drugs that she took, LSD, acid, all kinds of different things. Was it any of these drugs that did it? Was it just an accidental too many drugs? An accidental too many drugs? Is that what caused it? Just too many drugs, and it was an overdose, but it wasn't deliberate. It was just one of those things. Was it an accidental overdose? No. She had a lot to live for. She was starting to come into her own. This is a solo card. She'd done a lot of drugs when she'd left the Mamas and the Papas. This one here, the Sun in reverse, and the Devil here. That had been probably the worst time for her. She was doing drugs. I'm not saying that she was a saint, and she wasn't, but this concert, or this set of concerts, were making her more of like the 9 of Pentacles, the self-made woman. She was a solo singer now, a solo act. And although she needed confidence and still didn't feel her own power, she was becoming this. So, it wasn't an accidental overdose. She did drugs, yes. It wasn't an accidental overdose. So they say about hearts, she was twice the weight she should have been. She had this history of drugs. So was it just like a big accumulation of things, too many drugs over the years, too many amphetamines over the years to help her lose weight, a very stressful, very exhaustive stage performance, using a lot of energy on stage, which again would have put her blood pressure up as, as someone who is heavier, running around like that. She had a very high body mass index, but, she was doing her stage performance really well. But is it just years of abuse, years of bad eating, years of drug abuse, years of slimming tablets? Was it a heart failure because of just like accumulated stress and accumulated too much of many things? Is that what it was? Is that what it was? Got the 7 of Swords. This is a strange card to get, and I want another one. Was it just too much of everything? Was it too much of everything? Yeah, I think that it was. This is very much, you know, your party card, the three of cups. Eat, drink, be merry. And I think this was her way of living, you know, to use drugs, to use drink, to use food. Um, very much sort of a party girl, very much a party girl. The Seven of Swords, this is someone getting away with something. And do you know what? I'm seeing this as she got away with it for a lot of years. I don't see this Seven of Swords as being like you're not hurting anyone else in this scenario but yourself. And there is a vision of the Seven of Swords that I've got in one of my other packs that the individual is lying on the floor and the person that they've hurt is themselves. If you can remember my Deviant Moon tarot, the Seven of Swords in that pack is like committing Harry-Carry. And this is how I see this. She got away with it. She got away with it for years. She got away with drug abuse. She got away with taking amphetamines, too much drink, too much food. And she got away with it. And this is that sneaky, not sneaky, but this is the, I've done it. I've got away with it. I've got one over, you know. And I think she saw this on her health, that how she managed to do it. But it caught up with her. It caught up with her. From these cards, I'm getting Mama Cass's death, not from choking, definitely not. There's just none of that energy in the original Celtic cross. It's a slow passing. I just think her heart gave out. I think, let me just see about breathing, because you know, again, a big lady, sometimes when, you know, people that are overweight, you know, they have struggle breathing at night. Was this anything to do with respiration, breathing, you know, and all the other things? Because, you know, if you're not breathing properly at night, that can cause your blood pressure to go up. It can cause, you know, a heart attack. So let's see, was it anything to do with breath, breathing, life force breathing? Eight of Pentacles is the work card. And if you think about the body working, you know, if you thought about this as like your internal system, your heart, your lungs, your liver, it's almost like an electrical pulse, isn't it? Boom, boom, seeing that electricity from the body going out. Work, intensive work. When you think of the work a human body does. And then I asked about, was it just, you know, not breathing, sleeping, not breathing? Because this card here tells me it was fairly peaceful. It was a peaceful passing, just stopping breathing. And there we have ceasing, work stopping. I see this as her body was just worn down, too much of everything. She laid down, she went to sleep, and she didn't choke on anything. But I just think that sort of asphyxia that you get when your body's just overwhelmed, you've done too many drugs. I believe there might have been a party at Mick Jagger's, and there was cocaine there. I'm not saying that killed her. She had no drugs in her system as far as I know. But I just think she just stopped breathing. And this tells me that this final card just moving on peacefully. She just stopped breathing because the universe had said to her, you know, it's time now. You're not going to right your wheel. It's time. And unfortunately, you know, the little girl that she wanted to protect, which was here, you know, this protection card, she wouldn't have deliberately committed suicide. This card here, never would she have done that deliberately, because she had her child to protect, and she would have protected her with, you know, her last breath. It's a bit of a strange thing to say. So it wasn't deliberate, but it was her time. And the way that it happened, actually very peacefully. You know, she thought she got away with it. She thought she got away with her lifestyle and her excesses, but her body just stopped working, stopped breathing. So I hope you enjoyed that. I only thought to do this one this morning. I was listening to some mamas and papas music, and I just thought, Mama Cass, you know, I would love to do a reading on that. So I just nipped upstairs and I just thought, you know, let me just see what the cards say. If you know more about her, I don't really know anything else, but if you know more, you can throw any light on this beautiful woman with this wonderful talent. I would love to hear from you. And that's it for today. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed watching that as much as I enjoyed doing it. Thank you. Bye-bye.